Revenge films.
When I told my middle-aged client that I was married, he got mad at me. My client looked at least 5 years older than me. He was chubby, and I'm sorry, but he was not handsome. But he was still my client, so I always maintained my smile. But at the last meeting for our project,
I want to discuss about our future. Do you have time?
he told me in a serious expression, so I panicked. Gosh, did I mess something up? Oh no. He invited me to a cafe, so I followed him. As soon as we arrived at the cafe, he said,
2 cups of coffee, please.
He ordered some drinks.
What do you want to eat?
He asked me what I'd like to order. I just wanted to know what he had to say, and I was too busy worrying about what he would say, so I said I wasn't hungry. What would you like to talk about? I tried to initiate the conversation. Then,
Oh, it's about our future. I knew you'd want to talk about it as soon as possible.
he then started talking.
First of all, if you want to continue working, I don't mind, but I don't want you to work so hard that it would affect the housework and childcare at home in the future.
When I heard those words, I was relieved to know that he wasn't going to scold me. Yes, I'll try my best. But from the next few sentences, I started feeling confused as I realized something was off.
I understand that it might be hard, but I think we should at least have 2 children. Maybe 4 would be ideal. That's what I think, but how about you?
4? Four might be too much, but I can try my best and aim for 2.
By the way, would $1,500 a month be enough for the living expenses?
Huh? There would be so much left if I had $1.5K a month.
That's a relief. By the way, don't worry about the rent and electricity bills. My parents, who'll be living with us, are going to pay.
I've been confused for a while now, but I still managed to reply, after hearing him say that. I really thought this conversation was going in a weird direction. What does that mean?
I have a lot of friends, so I'll have to go drinking every week, and I even go on overnight trips sometimes, but I'll never cheat on you, so I hope you can trust me and follow me.
Then I finally realized what was going on. Huh? Please, wait a moment. I tried to stop him, but this middle-aged guy ignored my words and continued.
So, when do you want to have our wedding? I personally want you to wear the traditional white costume. I bet my mother would also prefer that. For our honeymoon, you could make some requests. You know we have to make a baby during our honeymoon. It should have a nice atmosphere.
He smirked. When I saw his face and heard those words, I got chills realizing that he was imagining things with me. I tried to stop his crazy thoughts. Wait a minute, I'm already married. I couldn't help but shout. Then he glared at me with contempt and said,
Oh, really?
Then he left, leaving me all alone in the cafe. He didn't even pay for his drink. I was very confused, and I just felt really disgusted. I hoped I'd never have to see him again. But the next day, it was clear that things weren't over yet. When I went to work the next day, my boss called me. I was wondering what I had to deal with now, but on the day we went to the cafe together, he told my company that I had made the first move or that I never told him I was married, and made up all sorts of lies to complain. He even said that he didn't want to work with me anymore and to have me leave the project. So, simply put, my boss thought that I had an affair with him. He yelled at me and questioned me. I only saw him when we had work meetings, and we both participated in some drinking parties with our team, but we sat far away from each other. I've never met him in private. I shouldn't have gone to the cafe with him. I deeply regretted that. I was worried that my boss might not believe me, but I told him everything. At first, he was very mad, but after he heard me out, he apologized for believing all the things that he said without checking. After that, my boss contacted my client's company, and it turns out that he was known to be a bit weird. Fortunately, his stories had no proof and weren't coherent, so my boss discussed the matter with them and agreed that the affair never happened. And this was what my client's boss said, but the middle-aged guy would complain so much that nothing gets done if the person in charge was a man. So they were managing to get work done by having a female employee deal with him. For this project as well, they asked for a female employee to be in charge. And my boss also felt like something was off at first, but because the project seemed profitable, he gladly agreed. Regarding that, I said, "I would have preferred if you told me these things before the project started." Then my boss replied,
"I didn't know the reason behind it. I'm sorry."
That's what he said. But my company took this matter seriously, and I made them promise me that nothing like this would happen anymore. By the way, if he was already known to be crazy within the company, they should have just fired him, or made him work in a department where only male employees worked. But he seemed like he had a lot of connections, so it was hard for the company to deal with him. Amidst all of that, the project was launched. I felt down knowing that I had to meet him again. But during the month of the project launching, he never attended our meetings. I was wondering what happened, so when I asked my boss, he told me that he got fired. The company was struggling to deal with him, but how come he got fired? It looks like he just made a move on a young female boss from a large company that was well known in the industry, who he should never get his hands on, and she sued the whole company. And it was revealed that the company had been ignoring the problem despite being aware of it. So it became a huge issue and was taken to court. The company quickly fired him, so they were able to minimize the loss. Personally, I never wanted to see him again, so I was very relieved. He had been doing whatever he wanted using his power, but he ended up being kicked out because of a more powerful authority. What a hilarious story. The rumor of him being fired spread to my company and also our subsidiaries, and the female employees were all overjoyed. Then I found out for the first time that there were more of us who became victims of that middle-aged guy. In my case, because I was already married, he quickly lost interest in me. But for those who were single and his type, he basically even stalked them. They had to exchange contacts to get work done, so after he got their number, he would call them 24/7 and forcefully ask them on dates. He was our client, and he had a pretty high position at work as well, so there was no way a new young employee could reject him. Although they never had sexual relationships with him, he sometimes forcefully kissed them, and some stopped coming to work. He's really disgusting. He made me nauseous just knowing that he imagined doing things with me on our honeymoon. So I bet those who were forcefully kissed felt even more disgusted. There were a lot of these stories, and once everyone got to know that he got fired, I heard that the female employees who became victims are planning to sue him as a group. Unlike my case, some were actually kissed and forcefully taken on dates. So I bet there are so many victims. And he'll probably have to pay a great amount of compensation, but I think that bastard deserves this ending.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.